I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, May the 10th, brought to you in part by Cargill Fescue EMT. Tall fescue, a dream to grow, but for cattle it can be a nightmare. Fescue EMT is a new mineral defense with end-of-fight management technology, research proven and backed by the expertise of Cargill Animal Nutrition. It's uniquely designed to help defend cattle against the challenges of grazing end-of-fight infected fescue while improving growth and overall performance. Make sure your cattle are prepared for the threat. Learn more at fescueemt.com. Oversold, that's what a lot of the analysts are saying that the board is, and we've seen the board bounce back a couple of days this week, albeit not as high as what it's been going down the other days, but advertising the board as being oversold, that means that it's got more room to grow back up than maybe down, and maybe it's gone down enough for a while. But cash sure doesn't think so. Cash continues to bleed in the auction barns, in the feedlots, all over. Anywhere cash cattle are sold, they're lower. But let's look at the board on Thursday. June live cattle futures up 87 cents. Of course, it was down a lot more than that on Wednesday, but 111.95 to end the day on Thursday with June live cattle. August up 20 cents at 107.60. May feeder cattle up 47 cents at 136 and a quarter, and August feeders up 60 cents at 144.47. Your fat cattle trade has largely been done. Through Wednesday, they had already sold 101,800 head in the 5-area feeding region. A little bit more cleanup trade on Thursday. Wouldn't expect hardly anything at all to happen on Friday, but just continues to bleed lower and lower. But through Wednesday, with the bulk of the sales on Tuesday and Wednesday, your cash price live was 119 to 122, with a weighted average in the 5-area feeding region of a live steer at 120.49. That's more than $3 lower than the previous week. Your dress trade ranged a big range from 185 to 195, mostly 190 to 195, but actually you can narrow that down even more. I didn't really hear of any immediate delivery cattle selling dress in the northern plains for any less than 192, 193 up to 194 and 195. But those lower prices from 185 up to 192 were mostly for end of the month trade. And the way it's going, that might be a decent price for them, but it just continues to evaporate this market. But dress steer weighted average in your 5-area feeding region, 192.63. That's more than $6 lower than the previous week. On Thursday, that was through Wednesday. On Thursday in Iowa, they had about 1,100 head confirmed. Live price at 119, just one load at 186. And like I say, that's likely for that last month of May there, around Memorial Week. But Nebraska had about 1,000 head confirmed there. Live price also 119. And remember, earlier in the week, they were selling live up there at 122, but it's just continued lower. But 119 out of Nebraska, and some dress sales from 185 to 191, also likely for a couple, 3 weeks out. In Kansas, 1,400 head confirmed there at 118. So that's likely the established market in the southern plains is 118. You remember on Tuesday they sold at 120. Wednesday we had a little bit more at 119 and now 118, and sure glad the week's almost over, or that we could get all the way down to nothing. But that would be $5 lower than last week and $2 lower than earlier this week. Box beef cutout values are also continuing to peel off. Choice cuts 222.47 Thursday afternoon, that was down 54 cents, and selects at 207.08 down 41 cents. And your choice select spread is going to continue to grow. It's the time of the year for that, and we're going to see it get a lot wider as most of your demand is going to be for your middle meat cuts, and they want the choice on that to slap on the grill as it starts to kind of get a little bit warmer around. Good movement though on box beef all week long, another 181 loads on Thursday, but it's just been so wet around. All over the country it's just been wet. I talked to my cousin out in Seattle. He said it's been beautiful out there, but that's the only place. Just been big storms coming across, flooding, and some of your driest areas. And praise the Lord, we've had rain here in the Texas Panhandle, all through the southern plains, up through the middle part of the plains in Kansas. We've had flooding rains, but you rarely hear anybody cussing the rain in that part of the country because so much of the time it's drier than what it ever is wet. But even though they had to close I-35 there south of Wichita, folks still kind of glad to get the rain when they can get it. But and now it's gone off to the east, and the southeast is going to have horrible wet conditions, and they don't need any more of it, especially around the Mississippi River. And then once again this weekend it's going to go up there and dump on your high population areas in the northeast, keep them from getting out and enjoying their backyard grill. But look at your slaughter for the week so far through Thursday, 481,000. That's down 2,000 from the previous week, but up 2,000 from the same time a year ago. We should continue through the rest of the week. Not sure with Mother's Day on Sunday if they're going to be giving the workers a Saturday off, or if they're going to be working. I assume they're going to be working. They had a big Saturday last weekend, and I assume they'll have another one and get these kills cranked up around 675, 680,000. But your weights are plummeting just like they should, but right on schedule. Your actual slaughter information for the week ending April 27th come out on Thursday, and your dressed steer weights now are down to 854 pounds. That's 3 pounds less than the previous report and 10 pounds less than 2 weeks before this report. So they are really getting down there. They should bottom out here in the next few weeks. It'll be interesting to see if they get lower than they did last year. Last year they bottomed out there late in May at 846 pounds, so they don't have a whole lot lower to go. Look at your feeder cattle market. Real-time index on Cattle Market Central late on Thursday, 134.71, down another 90 cents, and that has been plummeting. Remember, it was well over 140 when we started this week. So 134.71, that's on your 7-day moving average based on an 800-pound steer ranging from 7 to 899 pounds, just like the CME cash index in your middle 12 states there and all the auctions up through there. But what's significant is your steer tracker, which is only on Cattle Market Central here with DB Auction. Your steer tracker is just your last 24 hours. And the same parameters at 131.75, so we know which direction it's going, and it is going south. And a lot of your cattle weighing in the 8s couldn't reach 130 on Thursday. It didn't matter where it was at, even in your best sales. But let's look at some of your bigger sales. Pratt, Kansas, 2,800 head there. Feeder steers, $5 to $6 lower. Spots, $10 lower on your regular weight feeder steers. Your heavier weight feeder steers weighing over 900 pounds were still steady to $3 lower. Feeder heifers, $3 to $4 lower. And Pratt's had a couple of rough weeks already. But calves not well tested there. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas, 1,400 head there. And I want you to look at this Cattle Market Central market report I pulled from Farmers and Ranchers Livestock, and you look at the change on there. Your feeder steers, $2 to $7 lower than last week on your most popular weights of feeder steers. Feeder heifers not as bad, $1 to $4 lower. But look at your best tested weight of feeder steers there on your 8 weights. 297 head of 8-weight feeder steers, and they just happen to all be from 850 to 900 pounds. With your weighted average weight at 873 pounds, look at your weighted average price on 8-weight feeder steers in Salina, $127.56. That's only $2 lower, but it's hard to imagine that we've lost this much market position on our feeder cattle also. Let's look at a calf price. Bluegrass Stockyard, Stanford, Kentucky, had a pretty good calf offering there, but not a lot of calves really on offer, especially in big bunches in the central parts of the country. But out at Bluegrass Stockyards, they've always got a lot of good calves out there. 51 head of 503 pounds steer calves there at Stanford, Kentucky, $172. Mitchell, South Dakota, I've told you before, they background those feeder cattle there and make big started feeder cattle there for your feedlots just to come in there and top them off. But they make them pretty big and usually get along real well selling them. And this is actually a pretty impressive price. Mitchell, South Dakota, a lighter run, 1,300 head. It's been wet up in that country too. But 58 head of 1,010-pound feeder steers, backgrounded feeder steers, 124.10. Actually not too bad, about $5 higher than what fat cattle are, and you can put it on cheaper than that, so maybe some money to be made there. Clarinda, Iowa had the highest quote. John Anderson and Company up there in Clarinda, Iowa, 64 head of 893-pound feeder steers, 135.75. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.